Hello everyone, and thanks for watching Fast Track Tutorials. So in this tutorial what I want to show you is just how to create some simple metal textures inside of Substance Designer. So as you can see over here, I just have like some basic metal and iron type of reference images. And I want to get something similar to this, but I do want to like give it a little bit of that shine that you can see over here, like the classic, the gamey stuff, because it just looks nice when we have some reflections in here. So yeah, this is mostly for beginners. It's going to be quite simple, although I do expect that you at least know how to navigate around in Substance Designer. So in here, now as you can see we have like a bunch of outputs that we always start with. I'm just using a simple PBR template like the first one that you have whenever you create a new graph over here. And we want to have a base color, yeah, a normal, although we probably won't need to do a lot in the normal, a roughness and a metallic. We don't really need the ambient occlusion and the height, because it's just plain metal, so I can just delete those. And by the way, I can also delete these default inputs over here. So for our metal, what I always like to do with metal is I like to get started first of all with my normal map. And then I get started mostly with my roughness map. In this case, normally I always go height, normal, base color, roughness, but this is one of the few times that because all of our information will be in the roughness map, that we want to actually use that one. So for our normal, now as you can see over here, you can like add some very strong dents and everything like that if you want, but I personally, here you can even add like these type of dents. However, I personally don't really feel like that would look very good for our material. So I'm gonna just add like some very small surface detail, along with maybe like some general waviness or some general deformation. So for this, let's go into our noises. And let's see, let's have a purlin noise, which we can find down here. So we can use this one for like the general waviness. Let's see if we like set our scale a little bit up like this. It's just going to be like some small deformation that you can see. It does not always work well, by the way. We kind of like need to preview it inside of Marmoset, which is what I will be using to preview this, just to make sure that it looks correct, because sometimes these wavy lines over here, they actually start looking like arrows, like the lighting goes wrong in it. But basically we have this, and then what I can do is I can press space, and I can add a normal node, so that I can already convert this to a normal. And I like to work in OpenGL because I'm rendering in Marmoset. Let's set the intensity to around 3. It is very difficult to see, but if you press space and you zoom out, here you can see like some very slight, here maybe even 2. You can see some very slight waves over here. Now next to this, let's add just like some generic dents and bumps and everything like that. For that, let's go probably like a dirt 2, I think will be nice, as you can see over here. Because it has like all of these little specks. And you can kind of decide if you want to go for really harsh specks like you have over here. But I don't like those, because if I add a normal node, here see, they look very, very strong. So what I like to do is I always like to go ahead and I like to add a blur, high quality grayscale, to give it like a little bit of a blur. So let's set the intensity down, zoom in, and something like that. And then what I like to do is you can use a levels, or you can use a histogram select, scan. Yes, a histogram scan. And then you can use your position to basically increase or decrease the amount of dots that you have over here. Like this. And after that I probably do need to have an invert. And the reason I need to have an invert is because right now if I add a normal map, see, it is standing upwards. So I just need to have an invert grayscale. And once you add that, you can just press D to basically dock it. And that will just kind of like hide it. But now you can see that they are in the correct order. The intensity for this is going to be very, very low. So I'm talking like 0.03 or something like that. And once you have these normal maps, I think, yeah, you can add some scratches if you want. I don't think I will need to do that. But just in case, you can go ahead and... Now there's 2 ways, so we are going to also discuss this later with our roughness, but I can already show you. So the noises inside of Substance Designer, these have not been updated for a very long time. So there are not really any new ones that we can use that are perfect for metal. So if you want to have like scratches, you can go to your patterns, and over here you can use a scratch generator. However, this one, it's always like a little bit tricky to get it absolutely perfect. Another thing that you can do is if you have Substance Painter, you can go to your Adobe Substance Painter installation folder, resources, so starter assets, and then, where are you? Oh yeah, resources, starter assets, and procedurals, and then you want to go to, I believe, grunges, no. Oh god. No noise. I think it's grunges bitmap. Yeah, here we go. Grunges bitmap. There are a few of them. So if you go over here, or what you can do is inside Substance Painter, simply select a grunge or anything you want in your shelf, and then right click and then show in Explorer. So, but anyway, the reason I'm showing you this is because we have some scratches over here that we might be able to use. So these ones, if I just drag them in, let's see. Here, see, so you just have like some generic scratches. And if I press invert and play around with my balance, I could have, for example, scratches like this. Now, personally, I feel like they have a little bit too much stuff around it. But there should be a lot more in here. So we have some stains, wipes. Maybe what would be good is if I just very quickly open up Substance Painter so I can actually see the thumbnails of them. Here we go. So inside Substance Painter, I don't even need to create a project. I just want to go up here to textures. And then I can kind of like see. And if you want to basically navigate to these, you can simply right click and then show in Explorer. But basically what I'm focusing on right now is I want to go down here and I want to see grunge scratches rough looks pretty nice. Which is this one. So these are like shavings. So here you can see like a bunch of extra noises that you can use. We will, for example, use like the leaking noises later on. However, I can remember there being a lot more scratches. I'm very sure of it. So it's a bit strange that I cannot... Am I so blind? No, oh wait, here there are a few. So we have the scratch generator, grunge scratches. Okay, I guess there are less than I expected. So, grunge scratches rough. Let's just try that one. So I can just go in here and I can go grunge. Scratches. No, I cannot find the rough one. Maybe they called it differently. Let's go ahead and click on it. Show in Explorer. Oh yeah, now I found it. So let me just quickly drag it in. Here we go. Okay, so this one. Yeah, I think this one does work a little bit better. If we just play around with the balance a little bit, see? We just get like a few very thin scratches and they feel a little bit more natural compared to when I would use a generator. Because with the generator I would need to like change a lot of settings before it starts to look the way I want it. But anyway, let's just go ahead and add one extra normal to this also. Looks like that we do need to do a quick invert grayscale. And now for this one it's a tricky one. So I kind of need to decide if I want to keep it this sharp or if I want to make it softer. And whenever I have that, I'm just going to keep it sharp for now. And then once we actually preview this inside of Marmoset, I know if I need to change it around or not. So we have now these three norm maps. Now all that we need to do is press space and add a normal combine node. And then we can simply combine these two. And then duplicate it again. And then combine this one so that all of them are combined. And set the technique to be high quality because I like high quality. So there we go. That's already it. So we can just throw this into a normal and that is done. Now for our base color. Base color you can pretty much get away with a plain color. However, sometimes you do want to like introduce a little bit of extra dirt. With metal, the way that I like to do this is I like to first make my roughness, as I said before, and then guide that into my base color. So if we get started with the roughness, we probably want to get started with like a uniform color, so space, uniform color. And we can set this to be a grayscale because it's a roughness. Roughness is always grayscale. And what we can do now is, so black means shiny, white means looking dull, to make it even easier. So I don't want to have it super shiny, but I do want to go quite. So let's do around 20 over here, so that it is not perfect black, but it is just kind of like sitting in here. And now what I like to do is I just like to basically throw on a bunch of stuff. First of all, let's add a blend. And with this blend, we can probably use our grunges over here, or grunges, scratches over here. And I want to make these shinier or duller. I feel like duller will make them stand out a little bit more. But we can see. So let's do not an art subtract. Yeah, let's do max lighten over here so that they become a little bit white. And I'm just going to give them like the slightest little bit of like scratches. Because on the one hand, you could say, yes, but when you make a scratch, it is carving deeper inside of the metal. So the metal would be shinier below it. But on the other hand, you can also say that, yes, but if the scratches have been here for a while, then the scratches will have dust and everything in them. So it kind of like depends with your storytelling, which way that you want to go. So we got this one over here. Maybe also let's do the same for like our specs. So let's go ahead and just grab our specs over here. And let's do another max lighten. Tone this way down. I don't want to have these very strong. And now comes the star of the show. And that is that we want to go ahead and we want to just decide which type of grunge we want to use from Painter. Because these ones are, look how cool they are. So I think that we always get like a much better result. Wipes are a little bit too obvious, so stains or leaks heavy could be quite nice. These ones are too specific, so I think I'm gonna go for like a leaks heavy, and then maybe I can combine it with something else. Let's see. Let's combine it with grunge humidity, which ironically I actually made. For Substance, so I should have even the original. So grunge humidity and grunge stains heavy. Let's see if I can find those. Grunge. Okay, so here, see, this is why I always get confused, because they are scattered around multiple folders. So grunge humidity should be in here. Yes. Strike that one in. And then, oh god, my memory is so bad. What was it? Grunge stains heavy? Yeah. Grunge stains heavy. So let me just... Grunge stains heavy. That should do the trick. So let's see if we can use these two. And basically we just want to start stacking them on top of each other. So we have a blend over here. We can add another blend, and this time we can go for... Let's get started with this one as a base, our grunge humidity. And we basically want to make whatever our grunges are showing, we want to make it look duller. So we go for a max lighten. And then here, see? And then if you press space. Now, as you can see here, this is looking very strongly in terms of like tiling. So you do need to be a little bit careful in how strong you want to make this. Or if you want to use like a different grunge. It kind of depends how often you want to tile your metal texture. Because if you tile it very often, you will start to notice it. But hopefully when we add our grunge stains heavy, which is going to be a slightly different one, it will hopefully give us like a better result. I'm just using my scroll wheel over here because I'm not sure which one will look the best. I think overlay will look the best because this has like a lot of... Yeah, here, I think overlay will look the best. Just because this one has... It goes from 0 to 255. It basically has everything from black to white. So it's really hard to nicely like cut out specific areas. But let's say that this is like a pretty solid base. We can add this to our roughness. Now our metallic is always going to be 0 or 1. If you have very thick dirt on your metal. So I don't think that this is thick enough for me to justify not having metallic. But then you would want to make your dirt not metallic. However, since I don't have that, I probably can... Well, I can leave it or I can just delete it, the map. Because inside of Marmoset toolbag, I can just have a slider to turn on or off my metallic. Anyway, so... As you can see, we now have a norm map. If you want, you can right click with it selected and add a frame. And just call this normal map. Over here, right click, add frame. Roughness map. And then now what we are going to do is we are going to work on our base color map, which pretty much will just be... yeah, I think I'm gonna go for like slightly grayish if I look at my reference. So let's do a very simple uniform color. you need to be careful with this one because you can very quickly make it look wrong. So let's go for a uniform color that is like a slightly, maybe a tiny bit of like a blue in it, of a blue color in it. So let's go for something like this. And then I basically want to blend this along with, let's say, like a very slight dark brownish color, something like this. And I'm going to start with blending this one over here into my opacity, so that it will simply blend between these two. And then you can see over here that you get like this very soft color difference, and you can use your opacity in your blend to basically tone it up or down, turn it up or down. And then I'm going to add one more blend and just use the same uniform color over here to add like my leaks, as you can see over here. So those work quite well. And I want to go, actually no, I don't need to set my blending mode. I just want to basically play around with my opacity a little bit more. So this is probably already too strong, but we will see. So I can add this to my base color, add a frame over here and call this frame base color. And now all I need to do is I just need to go ahead and go into Marmoset and actually start balancing it. So yeah, one thing also, if you want to optimize your scene, this is a plain color. It is 4K resolution. And whenever you add something on top of your original, it will not change the resolution. Meaning that I can go in here and I can set my output size to, for example, 64 by 64. And then it will still say 4K. However, if I go down here, where are you? Information, display timings. It will basically reduce the milliseconds. Of course, right now for some reason everything is showing 0. I probably need to restart Substance Designer for it to properly show up like all the milliseconds. It does not matter for something this small, but just know that you can do that you can optimize your scene by lowering that resolution. So let's go ahead and I'm going to first of all do a quick save. And then if you go down here, you can right click, export outputs as bitmap. And two things you want to do. One, it will always just use the location that you saved your file in, so that's fine for me. Two, set it to TGA. I always like to work in TGA format, except when I'm working on something very specific with height maps. And 3, turn on automatic exports when outputs change. As I said before, especially with metal, I don't really like the 3D viewer inside of Substance Designer, so I prefer to preview them inside of Marmoset. But now, as you can see, we have our base color, normal and roughness all exported. And I have this little scene over here that I already set up. And it is basically like a sphere. And you can look in my YouTube and there is a tutorial on how to render inside of Marmoset, like how to render materials inside of Marmoset. And there you will learn all of this. But yeah, basically it is just a sphere. And it has one light coming from the top, that's like a main light. And 2 lights that come from like the backs. And for the rest it has like a default sky, but I might change that around. And I have one camera with my save frames turned on, which will basically allow me these borders over here. But anyway, you will learn this into a different tutorial if you want. I'm going to drag in my base color. I'm going to drag in my norm map. I'm going to drag in my roughness map. And I'm going to set my metallic map on. And god, wow. Okay, so we definitely need to make quite a bit of changes over here, specifically in our roughness map. So as you can see over here, as soon as we turn on the metallic, it just becomes blown out. But I do want this to be a metallic texture. Also, my norm maps are still way too strong. So what I can do is... Oh wait, let's also set my texture to a tiling of 2. So that it becomes a little bit smaller. So anyway, let's go ahead and let's do some balancing, which you always need to do after. Let's go into our scratches and set these to 0.01. Our waves over here, I'm going to set to 1 because I feel like it's a bit too strong. And these little dents over here, I'm also going to set to 0.01. Oh yeah, see now the milliseconds are working. And now the nice thing about this is that as soon as we change the value, we can simply switch here and it should, as you can see, change it around a little bit. Next comes the biggest one, which is that we need to play around with our roughness. Let's set our base roughness a lot less. And then let's get started by just first of all increasing all of our grunges so that I can kind of like tone it down from here. So I'm increasing my grunge, and I feel like that this one over here, it is causing me to basically lose a bit of like the stuff that I'm doing over here. So I'm not sure. Let's see, soft light maybe. Often soft light does work better than overlay. Yeah, here, I think this time also. So I kind of like just need to play around with it. And if you want, you can also go ahead and if you make your box a bit stronger, I can add a histogram range in between. And this will allow me that if I double click on my blend so I can see it, to basically just play around with my range and my position to also mess around with like my grunge. So if we go for something like this, here, see? Oh, hey, that's looking pretty nice. So as you can see over here, I toned it down, and now you can see that our metal does stand out a little bit better. So we have this one. Let's see, our color. I'm going to make my base color a little bit. Ooh, we are already at 21 minutes. I'm going to make my base color a little bit lighter over here. And then, yeah, here. So you can kind of like see the dirt, so that is no problem. I'm quite happy with that. And now you can see that we have like these very soft scratches in here. I feel like my dents can be a little bit stronger. So at this point you can go back and forth a lot. I will not try to do it too much because I often have the urge to just spend half an hour perfecting this. But yeah, let's do it like this. And I have ray tracing turned on also, else it would not. Oh, actually, in this case it does not really make a massive difference, but it does make a nice difference to have ray tracing turned on inside of Marmoset. Okay, so we got like our scratches over here. We got like some of our leaks. I want to show these leaks over here a little bit more. Maybe I can... Let's see, right now I'm setting on max lighten. What if I do like a... Oh no, let's not do a soft light. Screen. Ooh, screen actually works really well. So let's go for screen blending mode. I think it can go even more. Yeah, I kind of just want to blend them together so that they stand out more. Here, see, so now we start to get like some quite nice dirty looking metal. I would say that now my leaks are a little bit too strong, so I can go in here and just tone those down a little bit. Or maybe it's that they are a little bit too sharp. We can try it out, but it's risky because you run the risk that if you blur an actual roughness grunge, that your texture will look low resolution instead of that it just softens the edges. So I'm just going to give it like a here, see? So I'm going to give it like a very soft 0.1 blur. Oh, sorry, that's wrong program. Yeah, there we go. 0.1. Yeah, you know what? I actually quite like 0.1. So as you can see over here, that is giving me quite a nice result. I can also just hold shift and I can rotate my sky around. So I'm quite happy with that. So I would say that at this point I'm going to call this done because it's just for a quick YouTube tutorial. But I do recommend that you of course spend a little bit more time and just make it look extra nice. But you can see, very simple graph. Let's save our scene. And of course with it being PBR, if I would go to my skies, I can literally grab any sky I want and it will still properly work. So if I go, for example, let's see, which ones are often early narrow? No, it's a bit too strong. But yeah, you might also want to like play around with the color. But here, see? So you can see that they do work quite nicely in different situations. And sometimes you do want to just quickly set the brightness of your sky a bit higher. And there you can see that this is looking pretty good. So at this point, I assume most people have already clicked away. But I just like to often preview it with multiple skies. And this will also give me the opportunity to maybe like find one that is really nice to make a render of. For example, like this one. This one looks like quite nice to have like a bunch of like these lights and everything in here. But okay, so that was pretty much it for this tutorial course. I hope that you enjoy it. And I hope to see you next time.